This is a video that was shared online by the Ukrainian Border Guard Service. It shows Russian military vehicles making their way through the annexed Crimean Peninsula, across checkpoints and further through Ukrainian territory. Similar videos like this have also appeared across Ukraine. And at around 5 o'clock local time, citizens across the country were woken up to the signs of shelling in several major cities. As you can see from this map behind me, it appears to have been a three-pronged attack by Russia, from the north, from the east and from the south. On Thursday morning, shelling was detected here in the southern city of Mariupol, the administrative centre of Donetsk region, one of the two rebel-held areas in Ukraine. In total, Ukraine says that so far at least 40 military personnel have been killed, alongside at least 10 civilians. Ukraine also says that it has shot down 6 Russian military aircraft. Moscow has denied those claims. The Islamic Emirates strongly condemns the bombing of civilians at Kabul airport, which the Taliban say took place in an area where US forces, they say, are responsible for security. This is, I say, coming from a spokesperson for the Taliban. Let's put this all on a map and try and explain exactly where those explosions did indeed take place. This is Kabul International Airport, specifically Hamid Karzai International Airport. That's its official name. On the north side of the runway, that is where a lot of military personnel have been stationed throughout the evacuation process over the last few weeks. We also know that on the south side, near the main terminal building, that is where a lot of civilians have been gathering.
Well, tributes to Queen Elizabeth II have been flowing in from across the UK, as well as the 54-country Commonwealth of Nations, looking back at the monarch's long life and legacy. Matthew and our team in the Cube have been taking a look now at some of the reaction.
The rock on which modern Britain was built. The words of the new UK Prime Minister Liz Truss following the death of Queen Elizabeth II. It was only on Tuesday that Queen Elizabeth had broken with tradition by receiving Liz Truss at Balmoral Castle in Aberdeenshire, the 15th UK Prime Minister she received during her 70 years on the throne. And many other former British leaders have been paying tribute to Queen Elizabeth in statements and in posts on social media. The former Conservative Prime Minister David Cameron released a statement saying that no words can adequately describe the sense of loss that our nation will feel. Meanwhile, the Tony Blair Institute said that the UK had lost someone who, more than any other, had brought the country together. Joe Biden speaking on national television. He wanted the president to speak to the people following these shocking scenes in the Capitol. And Donald Trump has now released a recorded statement on social media on Twitter. I want to take a listen to what the president of the United States has had to say. Once again, Donald Trump repeating the baseless claim, the unfounded claim that the elections in the United States in November were fraudulent. There again, he repeated the claim that people were stealing the election from him and the Republicans. One big Conservative game which is making the early headlines so far is that of Blythe Valley. Now, that had a Labour majority of roughly 18% in the last election, so it's a huge achievement for the Conservatives and their candidate to have taken the seat from Labour. Indeed, it is reported to be the first time that Blythe is Conservative since 1950.
Reaction pouring in on social media, and who better to turn to than Matt in our social media news desk, The Cube.
Well, Oliver, on social media today, we've seen celebration and sadness, pride and prayer. But above all, from key EU figures, a message of solidarity, one perhaps best summed up by the former EU Council President Donald Tusk, saying that, my dear British friends, we were, we are, and we will always be a community, and no Brexit will ever change that.
Welcome to Euronews Now. We begin with a developing story from Germany, where there's been an attack in the city of Würzburg. Matthew in the Cube is following the story for us. Matthew?
A 24-year-old suspect has been arrested after at least 3 people are killed and several others seriously injured. The authorities have now confirmed that at least 3 people have been killed in this knife attack and several others injured, some seriously. The suspected attacker has been identified as a 24-year-old Somali national who lived in Würzburg. According to the Bavarian Interior Ministry, the suspect had been known to the police and had been undergoing psychiatric treatment. The authorities say that they are not seeking anyone else in connection with this incident, and they say that there is currently no danger to the public. This earthquake being detected roughly 17 kilometres off the region of Izmir, and it's there where a lot of the damage has been reported. A number of buildings have been reported to have collapsed. I want to show you this video sent to us here in the Cube via social media. You can see the effects that this has had on the streets of Izmir province in Turkey. A number of buildings there effectively shifted, destabilised as a result of these tremors. Now, it's often on social media that stories like this first develop. And let me show you a video that has been circulating widely on social media. You can see here a man being detained on the ground by police. We know this video was taken outside the Arndale Centre in Manchester, and police have confirmed that they detained a man in his 40s at the scene, and he has since been arrested on suspicion of preparing and instigating an act of terrorism. The governor of Tatarstan Republic has quoted as saying that 4 male students and 3 female students were killed in the shooting. His press service later also confirming that a teacher had died, bringing the total so far to at least 8 people who have been killed in this shooting. We know that according to Tatarstan health officials, 21 people have been hospitalised with wounds, including 8 children, 6 of those going into intensive care. Now, a 19-year-old suspect, the main suspect in the shooting, was detained at the scene by authorities. French fishermen initially told local authorities that they had discovered around 15 bodies floating in the water at 2 p.m. local time. French authorities also say that the dinghy was completely deflated. France says to their knowledge 2 others escaped from the boat, and they are now being treated in hospital. On Twitter, the French Prime Minister Jean Castex labelled this a tragedy, and he said that his thoughts are with the victims of those migrant smugglers who exploit their distress and their misery. His British counterpart Boris Johnson scheduled an emergency cabinet Cobra meeting, and he told reporters he was appalled, shocked and deeply saddened.